What was he thinking? What was Steve Saka thinking? Oh my gosh, is everything a jams and jelly contest at the state fair? What? All right, so let me get into this first. 2019, an amazing blend came from the mind and the hands of Steve Saka. That Sin Compromiso, without compromise, right? Fantastic cigar. Man, I love this cigar. Cigar's been on my list for a long time. Oh, man, so good. I'm going to cut it with my Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust cutter, right? Put a little schmutz. Bad product. There we go. Look at that thing right there. I had the schmutz. I had to get rid of schmutz. So, 2019, 5 years for that band right there. That pretty cellar, or that pretty cedar piece right there. But what was missing? A Dad Jim Robusto. Let's face it, Robusto is one of the quickest selling. The brick and mortars and everybody else say, hey, when you make a cigar, make a Robusto, because that's what everybody buys. Everybody buys the Robustos. Everybody buys the Gordos. We need to have that in your line, because that's what I want to get. That's what I want to sell, because I want to have what people buy. Steve Saka says, I'll tell you what. And here we go into that jams and jellies thing I was talking about. We got to toast this up real good. Jams and jellies. These ladies, these Grammys, these aunties, these mamas, these young housewives. Toast it up a little bit more. These housewives with my banging by the cigar guy lighter. Chief on the other side. They come together and they make goddles. Many batches of these jams and jellies. Now, if you live in a house where they are setting up to be able to be in the state fair, or the county fair, they got tons and tons of that stuff, boy. You better not eat that one, but you get to eat all the leftovers, right? You get to eat. They're good enough. I mean, they'll put on a jam, they'll put on a piece of toast, and you'll eat it pretty dang good. They'll fit a biscuit well. But there's one. It's got to be perfect. It's got to be just right. It's got to have the right color. It's got to have the right consistency. It's got to have just enough of those little berry niblets so that it's good. It's got to have a nice creamy finish. It's got to spread smooth. It's just got to be delicious and delectable. It's got to be perfect. Can't be good enough. Why? Because they want to put out their best without compromise. So what does Steve Saka do? He puts on his little tobacco apron. He gets out his little mixing bowl, his little book of recipes, and he starts blending together to perfection. He makes a Sin Compromiso in 2019. But he wanted to make one, because Steve blends to each and every Vitola. Each Vitola's got to be a great expression of that tobacco. It's not like, well, this one's a little bigger, so I just add a little bit more of each one of these into the pudding. Jelly. And this one's a little bit thinner, so we're going to put a little less in each one of the jelly. No, Steve says this has got to taste like this, and it's got to punch me here, and it's got to cuddle me here, and snuggle me this way and that way, and just make me say, good. Hand me another biscuit, because I'm ready to get me a little bit more of that good jam and jelly. Now, he had great ingredients, right? That wrapper is that Mexican San Andreas Cultivo Tanto. The binders, the Ecuadorian Habano, oh my goodness. And then there's Nicaraguan deliciousness rolling around all in the middle of that Jimmy Jam. Sin Compromiso is amazing. It is. Even nice at twice the price. It is. Oh my goodness, he's got the big uns. That joker's 7-8 inches long, and he's got some smaller uns, and he's got some fatter uns and some thinner uns, but he didn't have no Robustos. Now this is a Robusto, what is it? Extra, right? He's got to be extra. Is he always got to be extra? I'm glad he is. I'm glad he's without compromise, because this, although They're so good. Although it tastes like a Sin Compromiso, a great blue label, blue ribbon, award winning Judge's Choice berry blended jam. It tastes so good it made my brain slow down. It doesn't taste like the others. It does, but it doesn't. The expression on your face is like, man, I sure am glad I got this. I ain't got a lot of time to waste. I ain't got a lot of money to spend, but this is well deserved time and well spent money. But it is different. I find myself reaching for different Vitolas. I got pretty much all of them laying around here in the studio. Properly humidified, of course. And I got to hide some because Chief will grab them faster than I will if I ain't careful. The boy's got good taste. Takes after his daddy. What? I noticed that he'll grab one Vitola more than the others. And I'll grab one Vitola more than the others. But kind of worried when he gets a hold of this because I think we both can be grabbing for this pretty dad-gem fast. This hits you really, really right in the middle of that fullness of flavor. This one has a little bit of that dark cocoa to the front. Espresso. The crema off the espresso, that little foamy stuff on the top of the Cuban coffee. It's got a little bit of that spicy, just a hair. A little black pepper, a little minerality turned to earth rolling around. A little woodsiness. I'm not willing to say oaky or cedar or poplar or Christmas tree or whatever, but it just has that. It dries out your mouth like grape skins. It has a slight bitterness, which really is that. You can taste that dark coffee espresso, that dark cocoa, a little bit of sweetness rolling around in there. Yeah, maybe you could pull leathers. Some people will pull dark cocoa. Some people will pull leathers. I could see either one. Golden raisins, maybe, but I'm really reaching. I mean, how many flavors do you want out of one dang cigar? I mean, Steve, how many flavors do we have to have out of one cigar? You know, it just makes it hard to not just stock up your humidor with just this cigar. And then there's all these other poor cigar manufacturers and cigars out there waiting to say, hey, I'm good, smoke me. And you're like, yeah, you're good, but you're not without compromise. "2019. Steve, you don't. Not like he's watching. And I hope he's not because I'm talking to him like I'm talking to him. But Steve, you ain't doing nothing else. It's not like you're putting out 50 different blends. You're not like you're making your favorite Vitola, the Lanceros. You're not doing event only or lounge exclusives. Or I mean, you're just kind of sitting back, traveling the world, and just having a good time, which is fine. Saving woodchucks or groundhogs or hedgehogs or whatever they are up there in New Hampshire. You know, riding around in your side by side. Could you take a little time and start working on making some blends? Because I could have liked this in 2019. But I digress. We all know that Steve Saka is busier than a one-legged man in a butt kicking contest. He is. He's bored out wide open. I don't think the man sleeps. I asked Miss Yvonne, I said, does he ever sleep? And I said, not much. He is off and running. And one of the reasons I'm gonna spill the tea, as the young kids say, which means I'm gonna tell you something you might not know. And I might not should have told you, but I'm gonna tell you anyway. One of the reasons why the blends are so consistent. Consistency is important. You smoke it once, you love it. You want to smoke it twice and love it again. You don't want to have a one-hit wonder. He's down there in the factories making sure everything is everything. He gets himself great partners, and in those great partners, he's still down there, and he's making. He's actually said he calls it the Saka tax. He is so quality forward that the manufacturer knows no matter how good they do, there are going to be some that ain't going to be good enough. Whether it's a color issue, whether it's a whatever issue, the band might be cockeyed. He's going to say, nope, get rid of it, trash it, chop it up, right? So they charge him just a little extra because they know that they're going to put in extra work. But the manufacturers that he works with are a quality of manufacture that I believe want to be pushed to excellence, want to be held without compromise, so that not only do they put out a great product for you, which they want that to happen, but they also want to have a name and a legacy that carries on to the quality that's expected by Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust. Let's face it, 10 years, pretty much. Sober Mesa is the first one, but 10 years, all these blends, all these this and that, and every last one's a banger. Sober Mesa is still on the shelf. It's still one of my favorites. It's my jam I grab. It's in my little humidor right next to my desk. The blends hold up on their own. Some cigars have great packaging across the board, have great packaging, have great stories, have interesting flavors, and either based upon they just don't fit the bill long term, or their quality drops, or their consistency drops, they just fall off. A lot of companies rotate into new blends and new brands all the time. Steve doesn't do that. He also makes sure that he does his best to the quality comes first, but he wants to make sure that he doesn't oversell. He will turn away a new account just because he knows he won't have enough quantity to meet people's needs. Good problem to have. He is blowing up and just amazing. So this joker right here, this extra Robusto extra, is worth the wait. Get you some, try you some. Leave me a comment. Leave me a couple comments. If you've had one, tell me what you think. If you've had Sin Compromiso, tell me what your favorite VITOLA is. I'd really like to know. And in the whole Dunbarton stable of tobacco treats, what's your favorite? What's your go-to? Why? I'd love to know. Help make me smarter by knowing about you. And I know that I love you. And I know I'm glad Steve Saka's on this world, because he makes my smoking experience better. Pretty regular. So, I'm going to go. Stay awesome, because you are. Have a great day, because you deserve it. And smoke something fantastic, because you only got so much time. Make sure it's used wisely. I love you. I'll see you later. Later, Tater.